Hey there, fellow travelers. Welcome back to Travel Vibes, where we dive deep into the real stories behind cruise life, one wave at a time. Now, if you're someone who loves the open sea, enjoys the freedom of waking up in a new country, appreciates all-you-can-eat buffets with a side of adventure, then you're in the right place. Cruising is more than just vacation, it's a lifestyle. And today, we're pulling back the curtain on something you may have wondered about but never got a clear answer to. What actually happens to all that uneaten food on cruise ship buffets? We're talking about the leftovers, the untouched trays, the shrimp you skipped, and yes, even that third dessert you swore you'd come back for. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and don't forget to subscribe to Travel Vibes, where cruising smarter starts right here. A floating city with a giant appetite. Think of a cruise ship not just as a vessel, but as a miniature city at sea. On board the Icon of the Seas, you're looking at over 10,000 people, guests and crew combined, who all need to eat and eat well, from sunrise to midnight snacks. That means breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between, multiplied by thousands. So here's a jaw-dropping fact. Each 7-night sailing loads over 130,000 pounds of food before leaving port. Yes, you heard that right. But here's where it gets interesting. Cruise lines like Royal Caribbean aren't trying to drown you in options. They're trying to hit the perfect balance. Because every untouched roll or uneaten slice of cheesecake isn't just food. It's fuel burned, space wasted, and dollars lost. And for cruise lovers who care about smooth sailing and smart systems, this behind-the-scenes precision makes all the difference. 2. Why cruise buffet leftovers can't be reused. Now, here's a fact that surprises a lot of first-time cruisers. Once food leaves the kitchen, whether it's placed on a buffet tray or served on your plate, it legally can't be reused. Even if it looks perfectly untouched, cruise ship health protocols treat it as potentially unsafe. And in today's world of heightened food safety, that rule is non-negotiable. So what happens to all that leftover food? It's either eaten or it becomes official waste. And on a ship, waste isn't something you can just toss into a bin and forget. Every ounce must be carefully sorted, tracked, and processed according to international maritime law to protect both the ocean and the environment. As someone who loves cruising, you know how much detail goes into every onboard system. And yes, even food waste follows strict, behind-the-scenes rules to keep our seas clean and our voyages safe. 3. Smart cruising begins here. How AI is reducing waste. Now let's talk tech. We've officially entered the age of smart cruising, and believe it or not, artificial intelligence is leading the way. This isn't some futuristic concept. Cruise lines like Royal Caribbean are already using AI to quietly transform how dining works behind the scenes. Every voyage begins with a powerful system that analyzes guest profiles. Are the majority American or European? Do they prefer vegetarian options? Will the ship be cruising through sunny skies or rainy ports? Even the weather forecast plays a role. If it's going to be hot and sunny, the system anticipates higher demand for poolside bites and cold treats. If it's stormy, the focus shifts indoors. Thanks to this real-time data, chefs can prep just the right amount of food. Not too little, not too much. On Icon of the Seas, this helped the ship utilize 86% of its food, a massive leap compared to older methods. And for those of us who love cruising and crave efficiency, that's a big win. 4. Small batches, big change. Why cruise buffets look different. Now, if you're a seasoned cruiser or even planning your first big trip, you might have noticed something subtle yet important. Buffets today look different. Gone are the massive trays piled high and the towering displays of food no one actually eats. In their place, smaller trays, more live stations, and food prepared in rotating batches throughout the day. This shift isn't just about presentation. It's about taste, temperature, and smart planning. Smaller batches mean food stays fresher, hotter, and far more appetizing. Plus, if guest demand suddenly changes, less food ends up being tossed. Those live carving stations and portion-sized servings aren't just for show. They're part of a deliberate system to prevent guests from overloading their plates and to reduce the mountains of leftovers that used to pile up unnoticed. Because on a cruise where everything is measured at sea, even the little things add up to something bigger. 5. You can help too, without skipping dessert. Here's the best part. You have more influence than you think. And no, cruising responsibly doesn't mean giving up your favorite desserts or dining experiences. In fact, small habits make a big impact. Simply taking smaller portions at the buffet helps reduce what ends up in the waste system. Don't worry, you can always go back for seconds if something steals your heart or your appetite. In the main dining rooms, it's tempting to try everything. And yes, ordering more than one entree is perfectly fine. But rather than treating the menu like a checklist, consider what you'll truly enjoy. Some cruise apps even show real-time crowd levels at dining venues. Choosing a quieter time often means fresher food, shorter lines, and less pressure on the kitchen to overproduce. And remember, if something doesn't quite hit the mark, just let your server know. Your feedback helps chefs adjust future portions, which means less waste for future guests. 6. Behind the kitchen door, the role you never knew existed. What most guests don't realize is that cruise kitchens aren't just run by chefs. There's a whole system working behind the scenes to reduce waste, and now a new role makes that mission official. On Royal Caribbean ships, there's now a dedicated food waste officer on board. This person isn't just watching numbers. They're training crew, tracking waste patterns, and analyzing real-time dashboards that show exactly what's being overproduced or left behind. So yes, every uneaten dinner roll or untouched appetizer, it's recorded, reviewed, and used to improve how the next cruise is stocked and prepared. This kind of attention to detail is what makes cruising such a smart, evolving experience. And for travelers who appreciate efficiency, sustainability, and top-notch service, it's a powerful reminder that every plate counts, even the ones you don't finish. 7. Bananas and the hidden science of cruise planning. Let's take a fun detour into something you might never have guessed. Banana logistics. Yes, really. Cruise ships like those in the Royal Caribbean fleet actually order bananas at different stages of ripeness. Some are delivered green, some yellow and ready to eat, and some at that perfect in-between stage. Why does this matter? Because with thousands of guests on board and week-long itineraries, the ship needs to make sure there are perfect bananas every single day. It's a small detail, but when you're feeding over 10,000 people, these details scale up fast. This thoughtful planning helps reduce food spoilage, increases guest satisfaction, and supports the bigger mission of waste reduction. So next time you enjoy a banana at breakfast, just know it wasn't there by accident. It was part of a finely tuned strategy designed to keep your cruise both fresh and efficient. 8. Where cruise leftovers really go. And no, it's not to the fish. Let's bust a popular cruise myth. No, leftover food is not tossed overboard to feed the fish. Not only is that illegal in most international waters, but it also goes against every modern cruise line's environmental policy. So where does all that uneaten food actually go? Welcome to the fascinating world of hydroprocessors, food pulpers, and MAPs, short for microwave-assisted pyrolysis systems. These high-tech machines grind up food waste, dry it out, and turn it into energy pellets. Those pellets, they help generate steam power that runs parts of the ship, even fun zones like water slides and splash parks. So yes, that spaghetti you skipped last night might be fueling someone's cannonball moment today. On a cruise, nothing goes to waste without a second thought. It's all part of the ship's mission to run smarter, leaner, and greener. 9. Symphony of the Seas, a zero landfill. Marvel at sea. Now let's talk about something truly groundbreaking. The Symphony of the Seas, one of the largest cruise ships in the world, is what the industry calls a zero landfill vessel. That means almost nothing ends up in a traditional landfill. Instead, the ship operates its own full-scale recycling and waste management center right on board. Glass is sorted by color. Plastic, aluminum, and paper are separated with care. And anything that can't be recycled? It's either incinerated cleanly or transformed into usable energy through systems like MAPs. Behind all this is a hard-working team that runs 24/7, ensuring every piece of waste is handled responsibly. For travelers who care about sustainable travel, this is cruise engineering at its best. It's proof that even in the middle of the ocean, the right systems can keep us anchored to the values that matter most. 10. Food waste at sea. Why it matters more than you think. Let's zoom out for a moment. Because wasting food on a cruise ship isn't just a ship problem. It's part of a much bigger global story. On land, food waste is one of the biggest contributors to methane gas, a major driver of climate change. At sea, that waste translates into heavier ships, higher fuel consumption, and more energy used just to burn what never needed to be cooked in the first place. But here's the hopeful twist. Modern cruise lines, especially pioneers like Royal Caribbean, are becoming leaders in sustainability. They're showing how a slice of uneaten toast or an untouched dessert can be repurposed into something meaningful. Whether it's energy pellets, performance data, or tools for smarter planning, today's food waste becomes tomorrow's efficiency. It's not just cleanup, it's part of a larger circular system that's changing how the world views travel. 11. Your role in a greener cruise. It's simpler than you think. A lot of people think sustainability is only the cruise line's job. But smart, mindful cruisers, people like you, know better. On board, it's not just about policies and machines. It's about people and choices. You don't have to overhaul your vacation to make a difference. Tiny actions ripple out. Start by resisting the urge to pile on just-in-case portions at the buffet. They often go uneaten and straight to the pulper. And those picture-perfect plates meant only for photos? Better to skip the food selfies if the meal ends up untouched. Asking for half portions when you're not that hungry is a great way to enjoy variety without excess. And if you see crew members practicing portion mindfulness or educating guests, a kind word or a tip goes a long way. Because together we don't just travel better, we help the whole system work smarter. 12. What happens to cruise food before it ever reaches your plate? Here's something that rarely gets mentioned, but it's a game changer for how cruise ships reduce waste behind the scenes. Before you ever see that buffet tray rolled out or your plated dinner served, the crew has already been hard at work. They're trimming ingredients with precision, preparing smarter portions, and minimizing pre-service waste at every turn. It's quiet, often unseen work, but it plays a powerful role. This invisible layer of food planning is part of what makes cruising today more sustainable than ever. And yes, even the bites you don't take, the untouched garnish, or the roll you left behind, go on their own carefully monitored journey. From data logs to waste tracking systems, every detail feeds into a smarter, greener future for cruising. Because behind every great meal at sea is a system designed not just to feed you well, but to protect the world you're sailing through. Chapter 13. Turning Leftovers into Light. When cruise waste becomes energy. Now let's talk about something that sounds like science fiction. But it's already powering parts of your cruise. It's called MAPS, short for Microwave Assisted Pyrolysis System. And it's one of the most fascinating technologies you've probably never heard of. Here's how it works. Once food waste is ground up and dried, MAPS turns it into clean-burning pellets. Those pellets generate steam energy that powers real ship systems, from hallway lighting to water treatment and even parts of the ship's propulsion. So that extra dinner roll you didn't eat? It might just help light your stateroom corridor or power a hot shower after a long excursion. It's a smart, sustainable solution that reflects how today's cruises are blending comfort with eco-conscious innovation. And it's all happening below deck, quietly, efficiently, and with your future in mind. 14. What's next for greener cruising? Smarter ships, smarter choices. As impressive as all this sounds, cruise lines like Royal Caribbean aren't slowing down. That 86% food utilization rate? It's just a milestone, not the final goal. Their broader mission is to cut food waste in half across the entire fleet by 2025, and they're doing it with a multi-pronged approach. More ships are being launched with zero landfill targets built right into their design. AI systems are expanding, learning more with each sailing to help chefs make even better decisions. And sustainability training is reaching beyond the kitchen, touching every crew department on board. Soon, you might notice visual nudges around the ship, QR codes near buffets, quick sustainability stats on the app, or even small rewards for eco-conscious choices. It's all designed to empower cruisers like you, people who care about experiences and the impact they leave behind. 15. Why cruise food waste matters more than you might realize. Here's the truth. Reducing food waste on a cruise ship isn't just about cutting costs or tidying up leftovers. It's about something much deeper. It's about keeping our oceans cleaner, our meals fresher, and our voyages more efficient. Every bit of food saved means less strain on the ship's energy, fewer emissions, and a lighter footprint on the world we love exploring. And for those of us who cruise not just for leisure, but for connection, culture, and perspective, this matters. Because every uneaten roll, every untouched side dish, every bite we choose thoughtfully, tells a story beyond the buffet line. It becomes part of a system that supports cleaner sailing and leaves space for future generations to enjoy these same sunsets, ports, and seas. So when you cruise with intention, you're not just enjoying the ride, you're helping shape what cruising can be. So the next time you step up to that buffet and admire the endless choices, take a moment. Because you're not just filling a plate, you're stepping into a system where every decision matters, from what's prepared, to what's eaten, to what's transformed into power below deck. You're not just a passenger, you're a part of a forward-thinking, floating community, one that's finding smarter, greener ways to explore the world. So go ahead and savor every bite. Just do it with a little more awareness, a little more gratitude, and maybe a little less waste. If this helped you see cruising in a whole new light, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Travel Vibes, where every journey reveals more than just a destination. See you on board.